I'm sure everyone watching this video has watered a garden or used a water hose to wash their car. And they also know something about a water hose that's very simple, that just turning the water up full blast doesn't really give you enough energy to sometimes get that water far away out there into the garden, and it certainly doesn't give you enough energy to blast off all that dirt and grime on your car. So what happens is that the hose manufacturers or whatever invented a little device that they put on the end of a hose that adjusts the aperture or the opening, and that opening will increase or decrease the speed and compression, the blasting force, so to speak, of that water. The more narrow that opening is at the end, the more the water is compressed, the narrower the stream of water that comes out, and the further it goes and the more concentrated it is. Blowing efficiently is not enough. We also have to have efficient regulation of it. And the guy that's you might say conscripted or called into action at that point is the tongue position. Tongue position is very, very important in efficient use of the air. You know, many people think that the interior of the mouth is something like the interior of a guitar, that we get all our resonance and stuff. So some teachers that think that say, we'll get the very low forward tongue position and create a lot of space there in the mouth and everything, and you'll create all the resonance that you need for the clarinet tone. Well, that's not true. The resonator is the clarinet itself, not the interior of our mouths. When we play with the low forward tongue position, we essentially slow down any stream of air. No matter how efficiently we blow, we slow it down, and we also disperse the shape of it so it gets broader and broader and broader. By picking up the tongue, several things change in the airstream. The speed, the shape, the direction, all the things. If you're blowing correctly, all those things are even, you might say, exponentially increased by bringing the tongue, the middle of the tongue, up to the roof of the mouth. I always used to tell my students you should be able to feel the insides of your molars, your upper molars, with the sides of your tongue when your tongue position is correct, in the inside of those back molars. And this will speed up the air and make it even more efficient, make it last even longer, and it will also raise the pitch considerably. So just blowing enough is not sufficient. One has to voice correctly. And in order to do that, it's not just even a matter of picking up the tongue. It's a matter of listening for the focused kind of shape, because we want the clarinet to be, classical clarinet playing, we want it to be focused and concentrated so it carries a long way, like that water stream that comes out the end of a water hose. You know, years ago when I was a student, and even after I was teaching in university up in the Northeast, I used to go frequently and listen to Harold Wright play. I listened to him play in the Boston Symphony, of course, but I also had the privilege of listening to him play many, many times in Sanders Theater, which is a beautiful hall to listen to music. But no matter where I heard him play, when he played his very, very soft sounds, his pianissimos, they reached the very back of the hall. I know that because I couldn't afford to sit in the front, and I had no trouble ever hearing him. And what made his sound carry, of course, at the soft dynamic, it can't be the volume, it has to be the concentration of the sound. Blowing, as I've described, and you might say supporting the sound, though I'm not really very hip on that particular phrase, but blowing, as I've described, in combination with the tongue position, will create the most efficient use of the air and the most concentrated kind of clarinet sound that will really get your sound out there, no matter whether it's soft or no matter whether it's loud. It will also, as we will see, be the foundation so that the embouchure itself can work correctly. Unless the tongue position is correct, and unless the air is correct, the embouchure can never really just do its job. It will always be doing some kind of other function that really should be left up to the tongue position, to the voicing we say, or to the way we blow. So remember that the clarinet tone production system, the air, the voicing, the embouchure, all these things are integrated and they're interdependent. So when one thing falls down on its proper job, another one has to do something wacky to make up for it. The whole system works that way, and it's kind of complicated. But once you get it together, once it works really efficiently, it's really a beautiful thing to behold, and playing is not difficult once all these things are together. Let's take a look at the tongue position. I've done a couple drawings here that I think will be helpful in checking out tongue position. You notice that the incorrect tongue position is that low forward position, produces all that slow air. And then as the tongue lifts, it's going to narrow, creating that venturi, sort of like the thumb over the end of the water hose. You know, and it's really that simple. Exactly how do you feel that? As a clarinet player, you might think of having the tongue in the position as if you were about to say the word key. About to say it. Don't say key, because when you say key, the tongue goes down. No, the tongue should be poised in the position as you were about to say cake or k. You know, most people who are biters, to try to bring the sound together and focus it, and try to raise the pitch so that you're not playing flat, especially when you're doing it in the high register, they're doing with the embouchure the huge job that should be done with the tongue position. If the tongue position does things right in terms of focusing the sound and bringing the pitch up, then the embouchure will be able to have everything in perspective, and it won't have to be biting to keep things from being flat, because the tongue itself, as I've mentioned before, can vary the pitch tremendously. So we must do the tongue position in concert with the air to get the biggest benefit from breathing and blowing correctly. Okay, well, that's quite a lot to absorb. But you know, none of these things, as I've mentioned, are difficult to do. They're actually quite easy to do in and of themselves. It's doing them consistently and doing them all in combination that really gives you success, and that requires practice and repetition. You can do that. It's just a matter of perseverance once you know to do the techniques. Okay, once you know to do them. We're going to have one more video on the air, and that video we're going to discuss creating consistency of pitch, color, and shape in dynamic changes and the things that need to be done in as far as the air goes in order to achieve that. But that's going to be next time. Thanks for watching. Drop by our website, and if you get a chance, pick up a copy of my Educator's Guide to the Clarinet. All this information and lots more is packed into it. See you next week.